Make the 5th annual Spectacular Gala on
Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the campus of Moorhead Senior High School, Hal Brass Field at Jim Goda Stadium for Section 8AA Boys Tournament Soccer. The Elk River Elks and our Spuds of Moorhead Senior High School. Just a reminder, to the direct west of the main bleacher area, the Spuds concession stands are open. Amy will be serving up hot dogs, popcorn, candy, soda, water, coffee, other items for sale at the Spuds concession stand. Restrooms are also located within that building. Special thanks to Nicole from Sanford for her orthopedic and sports medicine coverage at all of our home Spud athletic contests this fall and winter seasons. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the starting lineups for both soccer squads. First, for our visitors on the scoreboard this evening, the Elks of Elk River High School. Our first Elk starter, number 0, Jacob Tentis. Number 4, Marcos Zalea. Number 5, Henry Babcock. Number 7, Cody Edmond. Number 9, Beckman Sarles. Number 10, Cody Paulson. Number 11, Sam Lillestrand. Number 15, Isaac Kraft. Number 16, Alex Bissett. Number 21, Jerome Uche. And finally, number 25, Chet Gleason. The head coach of the Elk River Elks, Mr. Jorge Artavia, with the rest of the coaches, players, and staff of the Elk River Elks High School Boys Soccer Squad. And now, let's meet the starting lineup for the home team on the scoreboard, our Spuds of Moorhead Senior High School. Our first Spud starter. In goal, number 1, Jacob Vanette. Number 4, Carter Johnson. Number 5, Ben Colborn. Number 7, Mohammed Namouk. Number 8, Max Hodney. Number 9, Abdirahman Ahmed. Number 10, Reber Keikos. Number 11, Mohammed Hussein. Number 12, Osama Alawi. Number 17, Elliot Funk. And finally, number 21, Colin Baumgartner. The Spuds are coached by Mr. Ben Patry, with the rest of the coaches, players, and staff of the Moorhead High School Spuds High School Boys Soccer Squad. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, if you all please rise and direct your attention to the east end of Hal Brass Field as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. One moment, please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's broadcast on Spuds TV of Moorhead Boys High School Soccer. We are in the playoffs here with Moorhead taking the number 1 seed. I'm Carter Christoris, your play-by-play commentary for tonight. And on behalf of my crew here at Spuds TV, we welcome you and thank you for joining us. As mentioned earlier, we have a quarterfinal matchup between the Moorhead Spuds and Elk River Elks, with Moorhead coming into this as the number 1 seed. Their current record is 11-2-2, and a very noteworthy part of that record is the win streak that they managed to put together, lasting from the 3rd game of their season up until the game just before St. Cloud Tech, the most recent broadcast here on Spuds TV. As now we are awaiting the kickoff. It is a very cold night here, as you can see a lot of the players down there with long pants and long sleeves, and even there at the midfield taking the kickoff in a hat. So the cold may be playing a factor here, as teams might not be fully warmed up, in the beginning of the games here, and may take them a little bit to get their stride under them. But nonetheless, we await the whistle to start play here from Jim Goda Stadium. And we are underway as that's tapped back for Elk River and then moved on over to Paulson. Paulson trying to move it forward, but it's sent out of bounds, and now Funk will take a throw in for Moorhead. That's thrown in over the head of Namook and sent all the way back as Paulson settles that one down and then immediately sends it back out. Is now Funk looking for a ball along the sideline, as he's looking for somebody to throw that to, looking for an open lane. He'll throw that in for Hussein. Sent forward by an Elk and kept in by Hodney, sending in a shot into the box of Tentis. Now up along the near side and then passed back to the middle, intercepted by Colborne and then knocked away. And here's Lillestrand moving up with it. Lillestrand's going to move it on up to Gleason. Gleason with some contact there in the middle to Baumgartner, and now it's going to be sent into Elk's defensive zone. As that's Hussein moving along the side, trying to make a move around Babcock. With a little stop-and-go action, he'll send one in, and the side ref will rule that it went out of bounds, and so Tentis will get a kick from his box, which he will elect his defender to take. And as that's going to be sent up along the far side, a couple of players going up for a header, as that's Alawi that ends up with it, passing it up to Abdirahman, intercepted and then sent out along the side, and Moorhead will get a throw in. And that's tossed in for Hussein. Hussein trying to get it back to Keikos, who was a little bit tied up tying his shoe. And then that's sent back to the middle for the Elks' Chet Gleason. Gleason's going to tap it on over, but pressure by Namook, and he will intercept that. Pass over to Keikos. Keikos up the side, intended for Ahmed. Ahmed will catch up to that. Looking for options. Tries to go into the middle. Gets it through one defender, but can't get it through another, as that's taken away by the Elks, sent up and knocked down by Hodney, before it is tapped along the far side and out of bounds for a Spud throw-in. As that's thrown into Hussein. And that's Funk with it now with a move around a pressured attacker. Trying to go to Hussein. And a foul ruled on him. And the Elks will get a kick down on the field at about the 15-yard marker. Is that is Kraft that will take that kick. He'll send that up well past the midfield mark, and Colborne will head that well into the air. And then headed out of bounds by Cody Edmond. Here's Funk with a throw-in. He'll send that in, intended for Hussein, but again, headed away by Paulson. And then sent back into the middle. And tapped over to the side for Paulson. Paulson's going to kick it well into the sky. And it'll bounce away and then back into Colborne's feet as he looks for options. Gets it to the middle to Hodney. Hodney has that taken away from him. And then Namook intercepts a pass. A little bit of back and forth action, and that's ended up with Bissick along the side. And now Colborn to Funk, back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner with a long field pass that Hodney helps get along, and that's Johnson with it. Johnson over to the side to Alawi. Alawi to the middle to Colborn. Colborn trying to chip it to Ahmed, but that's knocked away by Zalea. And Moorhead will regroup with a throw-in along the side. That's tossed in for Colborn. Colborn trying to go between the legs of two Elk Rivers defenders, but nothing came out of that. As here's Alawi. And his throw-in's headed away by Zalea. So he will take another throw-in just farther down the field. That's in for Hussein. Hussein to the middle to Keikos. Keikos has that bounce away, and the Elks will send it out once again, resulting in a third consecutive throw-in for Osama Alawi. There's a fight for the ball between Zalea and Hussein, as it will be ruled off of Zalea. And so for the fourth time, Alawi will take a throw-in. That's thrown in for Hodney. Hodney knocked off the ball there by Kraft, and then that's sent up and out of bounds. And Alawi with another throw-in. Is that sent in for Ahmed? Ahmed has that taken away from him. And then a regroup by Keikos will land Baumgartner with the ball as he sends that up into the middle. And then that's tapped back for Hodney, who moves it forward to Hussein. Hussein tried to knock that down, but that bounced away, and Edmund's going to tap it up as Johnson settles that down. He'll move it over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner to Hodney. Hodney with a left-footed hook pass up to the middle. That's headed away there by Uche. And that's Zalea here, trying to keep it away from heavy pressure from Ahmed. But a little bit too much on that, and Alawi will get a throw-in. That's Johnson. That's going to hit it to Colborn. Colborn over to Alawi. Alawi with a pass forward intended for Hussein, and that'll go just out of his reach. And the Elks will gain possession. Is that sent up? Almost a line drive of a kick that'll land at would have landed about the 45 had Colborn not touched it, but Moorhead retains possession now. That goes between the legs and then intercepted by Namook. Namook to Hussein. Hussein back to the middle to Keikos. Keikos over to Hodney. Hodney back to Colborn. Colborn over to Alawi. Alawi's going to top that up for Ahmed. Ahmed up for Keikos. Keikos with two Elks on him. Tries to send that to the middle, but that's knocked away. And then trying to chest it down there was Edmund. But Funk ends up with that. He'll pass it to the middle to Hodney. Hodney with the behind-the-back move. Tap back for Colborn. Colborn over to Alawi. Alawi back to Colborn. And that'll bounce over his foot, and Baumgartner will settle that down instead. That's over to Alawi again. Alawi with the hard pass into the box. And Namook is pressuring Bissick very hard, but eventually it's sent on out. And there will be a throw-in just outside of where the corner kick would have been taken. As instead that's sent up. And Hussein tries to settle that before Edmund knocks that out of the box. And here's Colborn passing it back to Johnson. Johnson kicking it over the midfield line up to Ahmed. Ahmed with a stop. Gets it to the middle to Keikos. Keikos back to Alawi. Alawi tapping it along the sidelines for Ahmed. Ahmed driving the box before it is knocked out. And now there will be a corner kick. A Breakdown Sports corner kick for Max Hodney. As the Spuds look to get on the board here with just under 10 minutes into the game, having been elapsed, as that's headed up by Colborn, and he will make it through the goalposts. as that is also something he'll look to do Friday night as the Spuds football team plays their last home game. Colborne also the kicker on that team, as similar to Alawi last year. That is Saif Alawi. That was also the kicker for the Spuds as well as on this soccer team. And now speaking of Alawi, he'll pass it up to Ahmed. Ahmed back to the middle, intended for Keikos, but knocked away. Pushing through. Up come the Elks, sent forward. To edge of the box. As here's Gleason. Gleason with a chance, and he's going to score! The Elks with their first pressure of the game. And Chet Gleason scores a goal at just over the 9-minute mark into the first half. As the Spuds with a lot of pressure just had an unlucky bounce. As again, that was number 25, Chet Gleason, with exactly 30:57 remaining in the first half. And now the score stands at 1-0 in favor of the Elks here in this quarterfinal game. That's tapped up for Namook. Namook has that bounce just in front of him. He'll try to keep that in, and unfortunately he cannot. And so that will be sent for either Tentis or, as you see now, his defender taking the kick instead. As that's Kraft that's going to take the kick here. He'll line that up and send a line drive where that's headed into the air by Gleason and then settled down by Baumgartner. He'll try to send that up, but that's knocked by Lillestrand. Now a fight for it with Hussein, and Lillestrand ends up with that one. That sent up intended for Bissick, but it just bounces out after some contact with Funk. And Funk will take a throw in for Moorhead as he throws that into Hussein. Hussein with a move around a defender, move around another defender, getting to the far side, pass to the middle to Ahmed. Ahmed with a chance, tries to get back to the middle, but that is knocked away by a great defensive play by Jerome Uche. And now a Breakdown Sports corner kick will take place for your Moorhead Spuds. As here's Max Hodney taking it from the far side of the camera. That's sent in with his left foot over the top, and Colborne will send that in and either off the post or off a defender. But now it will bounce all the way out, and the Spuds will regroup on the edge of their defensive zone. As that was Keikos that was knocked off the ball by Sam Lillestrand. And now Hodney will take a kick inside their offensive zone. He'll send in a left-footed shot that'll get headed up and then knocked out. As there will be another Breakdown Sports corner kick for the Spuds, their third one of the night so far. So far, they're 0 for 2 going to Colborne in the middle, with one going over the net and one would have missed to the side. That's sent in, knocked off the crossbar, and then bounces out. As there was a whistle and a foul there, I believe, in the back on Ahmed. As now this will be Isaac Kraft taking the kick from well inside their own box. Going back to that corner kick there that rocketed off the crossbar. I did not catch who headed it. I believe it was Ben Colborne for his third attempt, but rocketing off the crossbar. You may have heard the crowd, a little bit of a sigh from them, as it was a very hard header, especially since you don't usually see that kind of speed. But unfortunately, it does hit the crossbar, and our score stands at 1-0. As here's Hussein trying to change that. He passes it over to Alawi. Alawi with a couple of fakes. Pass it up to Ahmed. Ahmed to the middle between the legs to Hussein. Here's Alawi. Alawi to the middle, and Keikos will pass that back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner over to Funk. Funk to the middle to Hodney, and a couple of tap passes, and that's knocked back down And then sent forward, and a miss kicked by the Elks. And Funk taking the smart play, letting that bounce out and getting more power from using his hands. But unfortunately, that'll bounce off of Muhammad Hussein's foot, and the Elks will get a throw-in. That's thrown in, then immediately tapped over to Bissick. Bissick tried to get it to the middle for Lillestrand, but it'll bounce out, and now Funk will take a throw-in, which is tapped forward by the Elks. And here's Hussein knocking a Elk off the ball and almost kept in along the side by Bissick, but just out of reach of him, and it glances off of his foot and out. As again, it is tapped forward and out of bounds as Moorhead gets a throw-in. That's thrown back for Johnson. Johnson tapping it forward for Alawi. Alawi back to the middle to Hodney. Hodney over to Funk. Funk's going to tap it to Hussein. Hussein, a couple of moves. Pass over to the right to Alawi. Alawi with a right shot. Shot in, and that'll go in for the Spuds. Revar Keikos on the header on an Alawi send-in. And that evens the score at 1-1 with 25:45 remaining in the first half.
This match at 1 goal apiece. Time of that Spuds first half goal, 25-45.
Again, that goal came at 24:45 remaining in the first half. And the Spuds even the score at 1-1 on a beautiful display of teamwork from Keikos and Alawi, as Alawi sends in a booming right-footed pass that is beautifully directed into the top corner of the net, leaving Tentis with no chance of getting to that one, as now play is resumed. And Moorhead takes a throw-in. That's hat back to Colborne. Colborne with a stop and go and behind the back move. He'll move that over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner with a hard pass to Colborne. He'll pass it over to Alawi. Alawi moves it up to Ahmed. Ahmed to the middle to Colborne. Moved up for Hussein. Hussein trying to move it back. Is now moving it up are the Elks. Elks along the far side trying to keep it in. But then knocking it out is Colborne, allowing his team to regroup. As that's thrown over the top and knocked down by Moorhead. And they'll try to keep possession before a kick will be sent in by Sam Lillestrand that will sail to the left of Jacob Vanette. And now he will tap that back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner moving it up over to Funk. Funk to the middle to Hodney. Tap back for Funk. To Baumgartner. Baumgartner up to his midfielder, Colborne. Colborne with a similar pass to Alawi. He'll send that on up. And here's Namook with it, trying to settle it down. He'll send in a shot that'll go behind the net and pose no threat to the Elks. And so the score remains at 1-1. As now the Elks will get a kick from inside the small goal box. And that's sent on out. Another line drive kick. Headed into the air by Zalea and then knocked back down before it'll go off of Sarles and out of bounds. Sent in for Keikos. Keikos will tap that back to Alawi. Alawi to the middle. But nobody there for that. And the Elks get possession. That's sent on forward to Bissick. Bissick with a pass along the side. That's for Clinton. Clinton makes Baumgartner slide. But the Spuds will recover. And the Elks try to regroup before Funk takes that away. And Baumgartner gets that one. Baumgartner taps the ball over to Alawi along the complete opposite side of the field. That's tapped up for Ahmed. Unfortunately, that's out of bounds, and the Elks will take a throw in. As it's tossed in, intended for Lillestrand, but knocked down by Alawi and bouncing out of bounds, and so the Elks will get another throw in just farther into their offensive zone. That's tossed over the top, intended for Edmond, but it'll go out of bounds off of Moorhead. I believe that was Ben Colborn knocking that one out. And so another throw-in will take place for the Elks. That's tossed in for Lillestrand. Lillestrand around Colborn, but Colborn having none of that, and he'll knock that out. There's almost a stalemate there along the far side between the Elks and Spuds. That's tossed in again for Lillestrand. Lillestrand tapping that back for his winger before Ahmed makes contact, and now there's an injury along the side, as that's Marcos Zalea, who has been taking throw-ins. And he is still on the ground as we have the trainer go check on him. And we wait to see if he can still play in this game. Just about 1/4 of the game elapsed right now, with 21-16 remaining in the first half. We have the score still standing at 1-1, with the Elks striking first, followed by the Spuds about 5 minutes later to make it 1-1. And the score, even though it is 1-1, the pressure is definitely in favor of Moorhead, although before the injury it was swinging a little bit in favor of the Elks as they were moving on down the field with their throw-ins. And so we wait to see if that trend will continue through at least this first half, or if the Elks can change pressure right here, as there is a penalty kick being taken along the far side by the Elks. As that's teed up and sent in, that's a right-footed shot into the box of Vanette. Knocked down by Bissick. Bissick trying to send that into the middle, and Vanette scoops it up as there was contact inside the box, and now we have a Moorhead Spud down. And not something you want to see, as 3 Spuds immediately call for the trainer. That's Funk there that was in the box, appearing to have a foot or ankle injury. And so Baumgartner will take that and pass it forward to Gast. Gast over to Alawi, and that bounces off of his foot. And the Elks get a throw-in. That's thrown into the middle for Edmond, and then tapping it over for it's sent over and in for Bissick. Bissick trying to settle that down. Pressure by Al-Shamani, sent into the middle, knocked away by Colborn. And immediately knocked down by Edmond, and then sent out by the Spuds. And that is tapped out by Isaac Kraft. And the Spuds, Al-Shamani, will take a throw-in along the near side. That's sent in for Stahlberger. Stahlberger trying to get that, but Elks maintain possession before the Spuds get a throw-in off of a forward pass. Sent in for Hodney. Hodney tried to get to Stahlberger. Stahlberger with a little bit of a bounce off of his foot. Instead, the Elks send that to just before midfield. That's Gas settling that down, moving it up to Ahmed. Before that's taken away by Sarles. Sarles sending that up, and then knocked away by Alawi. Is there Stahlberger in there pressuring hard? Tap to the middle for Keikos. Keikos back for Colborn. Colborn over to Alawi. Alawi up, intercepted. And that's Sarles that gets stolen from him by Alawi. Before Keikos has the ball stolen from him. And Colborn knocks down a pass intended forward to get the Elks offense kick-started. And the ball is sent well over to the side for Ibrahim, who's just outside the box. He's driving in, takes a right-footed hook shot, knocked down. And now Keiko's with it in about the same spot Ibrahim had it before, working a little bit lower. And it's knocked out of bounds. And we have another Breakdown Sports corner kick for your Moorhead Spuds, as that's Max Hodney taking it. And now Hodney looking to send that in and put the Spuds up 2-1. Sent far side for Colborn, but I believe that was Tentis that got a hand on it. And now there's a mass amount of people inside the box. Almost playing pinball there, and eventually the ball will find its way out and sent out of bounds right around midfield. Sent in by El Shamani to Ibrahim. Ibrahim sends that up, knocked back down by Bissick. Bissick and Ibrahim fighting for it before the Elks take that and sends it over to Sarles, but Colborn intercepts that, passing it over to Alawi. Alawi to the middle to Colborn. Colborn chips it up along the side, intended for Ahmed, but knocked back down. That's Sarles with it. Sarles back to Lillestrand. Lillestrand has it intercepted by Keikos, and Keikos with a nice move tried to get it over to Stolberger, but knocked down and out by the Elks. And Moorhead gets a throw in. That's Alawi taking it. He'll send that well in for Ahmed. And Uche will send that up and out for Alawi. And his second throw in here in succession. Sent in for Stahlberger. Stahlberger has that tap forward by him. And now there's a fight for it. As Moorhead comes away with that, back to Ahmed, and then knocked away. Moving up here is Lillestrand. Lillestrand over to the side, intended for Edmund. But contact there between him and Ibrahim. And Ibrahim will take a foul on that. And so a kick will be taken by the Elks at just about the 30-yard line. That's sent forward to about the opposite 25 before Hodney sends that out. And that's settled down by Uche. Uche sending that on up, and a little bit of a miscommunication by the Elks as two of them went for it. And that pass is just out of the reach of an attacking Elk. And it goes out of bounds for a Moorhead throw-in. We have some substitutions here along the near side. As in comes Lukeman Samain for Reaver Keikos. Here's Baumgartner sending it to Hodney. Hodney sending up a left-footed pass to Samain. Force taken away by Lillestrand. Lillestrand's pass intercepted by Hodney. And Stahlberger sends that up for Ibrahim. Ibrahim settling that down. And knocked down inside the box. That was Abdizamik Ibrahim that got knocked down inside the box on a pass from Stahlberger. And now Ben Colborn takes a penalty kick from inside the box, looking to make the score 2-1. As we are waiting for it and Colborn teeing up for it. Sends in a kick to the opposite side of where Tentis was going, and the Spuds take the lead. That was Ben Colborn with 15:03 here remaining in the first half as he sends a right-footed shot into the middle right part of the net to get it past Tentis.
First half goal, 15:03, makes it 2-1 Moorhead.
And now we will have the ball placed in midfield as the Elks look to regroup from that. And Sarles will take that kick in the middle for his team. That's tapped over the side and then moved forward by Edmond. Intended for Sarles again, but knocked away, and now Alawi ends up with it. Colborn taps it back to Gast. Gast over to Alshamani. Alshamani trying to lead Colborn, but Sarles beats him to that. Sarles taps it over to the side for his winger, but that's stolen away from him and then moved forward for Alawi, but Alawi's beaten to that by Uche. Uche fighting Colborn for it. Colborn gets around 3 defenders, and he'll try to get around one more, but he cannot as he sends that out of bounds, and the Elks take a throw-in. Is that sent on in, intended to the middle, but knocked away by the Spuds, and that's sent back into the box of Tentis, and he'll take that in. And he'll send that up where it's knocked down by the Elks, sent forward, and then Colborn takes that in. Colborn looking for options, sends a pass to Ibrahim, taken in by Hodney. Hodney trying to move forward, but the ball slows down a little bit, and he can't quite react to that, and so the Elks get possession here, sending it up and over, where that's Sarles with it. Sarles sends that over to his wing. Instead, Moorhead will take that away from Sarles, and here's Gast with possession of it, moving it over to Alawi. Alawi to the middle to Colborn. Colborn tapping it over to Alshamani. Alshamani with a little bit of space here. Moving it to Hodney. Hodney in a triangle. Moves it back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner to the weak side to Alawi. Back to the middle for Baumgartner. Baumgartner with all kinds of time here. Back to Gast. He'll send that forward to Alawi. Alawi sends it to Ahmed. Ahmed trying to get it back, but that's intercepted by Clinton. West, and now West will fight for it with Hussein, but he'll win that and send that to the middle where it's tapped over for Colborn. Colborn to the middle, left there by Stahlberger, and a spin move by Colborn. A little bit of a miscue there. And a misplay there by the Elks, as that was Isaac Kraft that tried to settle down the ball as he realized that Ibrahim was going to get to that, but almost an unintentional rainbow, and that goes between his feet, and he knocks it out of bounds, as now we have a Breakdown Sports corner kick for the Spuds. Sent into the middle, headed down by Colborn, and that just misses the net. As the Spuds are just getting ever closer to the net, that one missing by about a foot and a half to Tentis's left. And now the Elks will take a kick. That'll be sent up and then knocked down by the Spuds. Forward to the middle and headed out by Lillestrand. Here's Alshamani with the throw-in. He'll send that in to Ibrahim. And then knocked out again. And here's Alshamani looking for a throw-in target. He'll send that over the top to Stahlberger. Instead, here's Bissick with it. And then knocked out of bounds. And a Spuds throw-in will take place again. That's in for Semaine, but that bounces away from him, and moving up now is West, intended to the middle, and Colborn sends a shot into Tentis, and he knocks that one down for a save, keeping the score at 2-1. Tentis will send a short bouncer that's settled down by Semaine, and now Hodney heads that forward over to Ibrahim. That's over to the right side for the Elks, but just out of reach of Bissick. And the Spuds get a throw in as we have a whole number of substitutions here right now, including number 10, Reaver Keikos, number 24, Brandon Oboa, and number 17, Elliot Funk, as well as number 23, Yves Urel for the Elks. And that's sent back for Baumgartner. Baumgartner sends a hook right-footed pass to the far side. That's Funk moving it forward for Hussein. A little bit of a stop-and-go action there. That's tapped back for Keikos. Keikos back to Funk. A little fake tee up a shot before that's sent over to Keikos. Keikos over to Oboa. Back to Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani with a move. Tap forward. Or rather, try to tap forward. He'll send in a shot that's easily knocked down by the Elks. Fort sent forward. And then back to the middle, intending to hit Urel. But the Spuds intercept that and take control. Along the side, that's Funk. Funk trying to get it to Stolberger, but knocked away. And that's Urel hitting to the middle and then sent well forward by the Elks. That's Gass trying to settle it down before he'll move it up to Keikos. Keikos trying to get it to Stolberger, but knocked back to him. And then sent forward for Hussein. Darting to the middle and then to the side of the net. And missing it on his shot. But it does go off of an Elk. And so the Moorhead Spuds will take a Breakdown Sports corner kick here. As here's Keikos teeing up for it with a left-footed shot into the middle. Knocked down in front for Hussein. Hussein can't hammer it home. Sent to the middle for Colborn. Colborn, his shot was saved on a diving play by Tentis. And that might be a candidate for save of the night right there, as he sends it into what looked like an open net before Jacob Tentis decides he's having none of that and swats it away, keeping the score at 2-1 here with just under 7.5 minutes remaining in the first half of play. Is that sent up and headed down by Funk, and then knocked out of bounds just out of the reach for Hussein. And now the Elks will take a throw-in. That's tossed forward, knocked up, and then knocked down. And that's left along the side there, moving up. Is an Elks attacker, but it went out of bounds, and so the Spuds will take a throw-in. Here's Funk, tossing it in for Gass. Gass over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner to Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani to the middle to Keikos. Keikos to the far side for Hussein. Hussein to the middle to Colborn. Colborn up along the side. There's Funk sending it a pass to the middle, and Tentis swallows that up, stopping Moorhead's chance. And now he will kick it or throw it, whichever he decides as he kicks it from his box. That went off the foot of Keikos before it's tapped up and then out of bounds off of Moorhead's Ben Colborn. And now that will be Henry Babcock taking the throw in, or rather an Elks attacker taking it. And that's sent in. A couple of bounces. Colborn makes a move around two defenders, sends it up for Keikos to the middle to Stahlberger. Stahlberger has that knocked away from him. Before Aboa takes that in, he'll send that back to Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani to the middle to Colborn. Colborn between the legs of a defender, but he can't get around another one. Here's Lillestrand moving it over to the side. Streaking up, passing to the middle for Gleason, but knocked down by Moorhead. And nobody there for Moorhead. As a pass is sent in again and then knocked down by Gast. Gast to the side. Intended for Ibrahim, but knocked away by Edmond. As here's Al-Shamani's throw in to the middle for Aboa. Aboa knocked off the ball, but he stays with possession. And he'll send that over to Funk. Funk looking for options, teeing up for a pass. Over to Aboa. Aboa to the side to Hussein. Hussein back to Funk. Funk will tee up a shot and send it over to the side, but it's knocked down by the Elks and sent to the far side. So here's Al-Shamani trying to get to the middle for Ibrahim, but taken away and then sent up and out for a Spuds throw-in. Here's Al-Shamani. It's actually ruled a foul against the Elks, and so the Spuds will take a kick instead, which Colborn tees up for. Now Colborn looking for a kick. He does, again, have a good leg as he's a kicker for the football team. He'll send that in before Tentis with a little bit of a bounce off of his hands. And he'll take that in before he'll boot that up. And here's Hussein back for Funk, who taps over to Gast. Gast over to Colborn. Excuse me, Baumgartner. Moved up to Colborn. Colborn to the side for Hussein. Mohammed Hussein back to the middle. And then tapped over for Al-Shamani. Knocked away by the Elks, and the Spuds will have to regroup. The middle for Colborn. Colborn taps it for Gast. Gast gains his footing, sends it over to Funk. Funk back to Colborn. Colborn along the side. Sent back to Funk. Funk sends a long pass up. And there it goes out of bounds. Didn't catch who the ref ruled it that it went out of bounds on. As it was ruled a foul, rather, on the Spuds. And now there will be a kick taken from just about the corner spot by the Elks. It's not sure if that helps or harms the Elks. As if there wouldn't have been a foul, it would have been a kick or pass from Tentis or any one of his defenders. But rather, instead, that's sent up. And Moorhead settles that down. Fort sent up along the left side. Sent forward intended for Gleason, but knocked out of bounds by the Spuds. And now here with about a minute and a half remaining in the first half, the Elks take a throw in. As that's in for Cauldron, who's newly entered also. Spuds looking for a spark here with about just over a minute left. Is taking that in as Kraft before taken away, and Keikos has it. And then a foul ruled against Moorhead, and a kick will be taken by the Elks. That'll be Kraft taking the kick from about the 35 on the football field. Teeing up for his shot to be sent in. He'll send a line drive that's headed into the air by Gast and then forward by Aboa. Sent over by Kagos. Kagos trying to bank it off of a Elk, but that doesn't go. As that'll be sent forward by Paulson into the middle. There's Gleason in about the same spot that he scored his first goal, but nothing will come out of it as that bounces away, and the Elks immediately send it in for Gleason. Couple of headers. Sent well forward by Gast. And with about 5 seconds remaining here in the half, the Elks will get one last throw in before time is called and our first half comes to an end. So as it stands right now, your Spuds are ahead in this AAA soccer quarterfinal 2-1.
Natural talent, physical gifts, training advantages. To become a champion, none of that matters. True champions are the ones who are comfortable working harder, staying later, and finding that competitive edge. They are never satisfied simply doing a good job, because those who transform themselves from local talent into local folklore are the ones who continually perform beyond their limits. Bell Bank, proudly supporting champions everywhere.
Pam is a small business owner. She is swamped. Pam knows she needs to advertise, but is overwhelmed by all the options. What if there was a way for Pam to have access to a team of media experts? What if this was at no extra cost and didn't require a contract? Meet Avenue Right. Save time, money, and get peace of mind that your advertising dollars are well spent.
We are The Breakdown. For almost 2 decades, we've published the most comprehensive yearbooks on Minnesota high school sports and run the best in-season and off-season events. We cover every corner of the state. We are The Breakdown.
Boss DXT snowplows are tough to beat. Featuring dual trip tech, flared wings, and optional D-force for improved scraping and back-dragging performance. Choose from 3 different sizes in steel, stainless steel, and poly. The Boss DXT is built to restore order.
Your home for Boss Snowplows is Bert's Truck Equipment on Highway 75 North in Moorhead.
Before I became a real boy, life was easy. I just sat there doing sandwich stuff. But being alive is so hard. So if you don't want to get up to get a sandwich, you shouldn't have to.
Revive Professional Massage Therapy Clinic. Locally owned and operated. Open 7 days a week, day, evening, and same-day appointments available. Couples massages also available. 20 highly trained professional licensed massage therapists on staff. Now with 2 locations, South Fargo and Detroit Lakes. Offering online booking and online gift certificates. www.reviveprofessionalmassage.com.
The Moorhead Legacy Education Foundation and Spud History were happy to offer services to 10 Moorhead High School class reunions this summer. The class reunions took tours of the high school, visited the Spud History Wall at Horizon Middle School, were entertained by Moorhead High School music students, and were visited by Spuddy. Start planning your class reunion today. Here's the email address, spudhistory@moorheadschools.org for more information.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and a welcome back to the second half of action for tonight's matchup between your Moorhead Spuds and the Elk River Elks. Again, I'm your play-by-play commentary tonight, Carter Castoris, and the score right now on your Northwest Blind scoreboard stands at 2-1 in favor of your Spuds. This quarterfinal matchup has been full of ups and downs for your hometown team, as the Spuds were struck.
Carter. Tell him he's doing an awesome job from everyone back in Elk River.
Thank you very
much. Good job.
As pardon for the interruption there, but we await the second half of action to get ready, as we have a kickoff taken for Muhammad Hussein of the Spuds, as Elk River took the kickoff in the first half, but instead Hussein sends that back to Colborne and over to Alawi, and we are underway here at Jim Goda Stadium. Is that sent over for Baumgartner? Baumgartner taps it over and then sent back for Gast. Gast sends that forward for Keikos. Keikos back for Colborne. Over to Alawi. Back to Colborne. Colborne curving it around a defender. Tap forward and then taken in by Keikos. Keikos with a fake and then moved over to Alawi. The Spuds slowly advancing into enemy territory here. This here's Colborne. Colborne sending a hook shot into the far side. And offsides is ruled by the side judge. And the Elks will take a kick from right outside of the box. Apologize, but I got cut off there in between before the start of the second half, as I was talking about the ups and downs of this entire game, as the Spuds went down 1-0 about 10 minutes into the first half, with Chet Gleason striking early for the Elks. The Moorhead Spuds, however, responded just about 5 minutes later at 25:45 remaining in the first half, with a header from Keikos on a beautiful line drive of a pass by Alawi. And Colborne tacked on to that with a penalty kick at the 15:03 mark in the first half. And that brings us to where we are right now with a score of 2-1 in the second half, as since the 15-minute mark we have been scoreless. And now, obviously, both teams looking to change that. The Elks maybe a little bit more motivated to score than the Spuds. I don't want to say motivated, but a little bit more pressed for scoring than the Spuds, as they do need one to tie, whereas if the Spuds score one, they'll just extend their lead. As there the Elks send it in, and then it's tapped back. And then moved along the side for Funk. And a weird pinball series of events, and that sent over and a curving pass for Clinton. Clinton leaves that before that's sent up by Uche. Up for Sarles. Sarles over to the side for an attacker. He gets that back, moving it forward. There's a foot race between three players there, but it'll roll out of bounds, and Vanette will get a decision on whether to throw it out to his defenders or to take a kick up from his 6-yard box. As he elects to just tap that over to Gast. Gast sends it forward for Alawi. Alawi to the middle, taps it back from Keikos over to Colborne. Colborne back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner to the side to Hodney. Hodney back to Gast. Gast up for Keikos. Keikos takes that in. Moved over to Alawi. Alawi back to Gast. Gast over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner to a standing Funk. Funk back to the middle. That's Keikos. That's taken in by Hussein. Hussein will tap that over to Alawi. Alawi back to Hussein. Hussein, couple of moves. Sent up and then tapped out by Uche. And the Spuds get a throw in, as that's Alawi taking it for them. In for Hussein. Hussein has that bounce off of his shin, sent over to Alawi. Alawi tapping that back for Gast. Gast exploring options. Elects to send it to the middle of the field for Baumgartner before it's sent up. And then move back for Alawi. Alawi up for Hussein. Hussein to the middle before it's knocked away by a combination of Lillestrand and Uche. And that's sent up. And Gast tries to take that in. He'll send it over to Alawi. Back over to Baumgartner. And that's sent over to Funk now. Funk to the middle for Colborne. Colborne shot to the right side to Alawi. Sent forward and into the box. Here's a shot for Ahmed that was teed up, but instead that's sent out by Isaac Kraft on a great defensive recovery. And we now have a Breakdown Sports corner kick for your Moorhead Spuds. As here's Hodney taking that. And he'll send that in. Something to look for is Colborne along the backside as he will find him, target him, sends it off the crossbar. And rather, I thought that was going over the net, but that'll be sent out. And here's Hodney sending in another shot for Tentis, who will scoop that up and take it in. So another shot off the crossbar as the Spuds are not having any luck tonight with those posts, as the crossbar has denied them now twice on those corner kicks. Now moving it forward is Ahmed. And knocked out by the Elks' Uche, who is now on the ground in his defensive zone. And there is a foul ruled there along the side on Abdirahman Ahmed. And now the Elks will take a free kick from the near side on the camera. That'll be sent forward by Kraft and then knocked down by Colborne. Colborne trying to get it up, but no fellow Spuds there. And then move forward for Hussein. Hussein trying to settle that down. Keeps it from going out of bounds. The move back to the middle for Keikos. Over to Hussein. Hussein moving in. And then knocked away by Kraft. Kraft moved forward and hit it up to his Elk attackers, but unfortunately nothing came out of that. And now Colborne settles it down and moves it forward for Ahmed. Ahmed settles that down, moves over to Hussein. Hussein with the defender pressing hard on him. He makes a move around. Sends in a right-footed curving shot, and he'll get his own pass back. Taken out inside the box. And nothing along the side, as he may have slipped up a little bit too. And then the ball is knocked out by the Elks. And then tossed in by Alawi. And now Ahmed inside of the box, and then has that tapped away from him by Kraft. And now another Breakdown Sports corner kick will take place for your Moorhead Spuds. This again, that's Hodney with a shot, and you see there on your screen along the left, once the ball will come into view, you'll see number 5, Ben Colborne, is that sent forward and trying to use his height, but nothing comes out of that as everybody misses that. Now Edmund takes that in. Edmund with taken away from him by Funk and then knocked out by the Elks. And there will be another Breakdown Sports corner kick for your Moorhead Spuds. As now here's Hodney. That'll send in the shot. It'll be sent into the box, headed forward. And somehow that stays out. I'm not sure. And it will be ruled in. Reaver Keikos, second of the night on a kick sent in by Hodney on a very confusing series of events there, as the Spuds thought it went in, but not entirely sure, and it kept playing, but the ref rules it goes in, and Keikos has that, and on assist from Hodney's corner kick here with 30-40 remaining in the second half. And now that'll be Sarles sending it back as the Elks look to at least shorten Moorhead's lead here and try to make the score 3-2 instead of the 3-1s it stands at right now on your Northwest Blind scoreboard. Is that'll be Edmond taken down by a Moorhead midfielder. And now there will be a kick by the Elks. That's sent forward in a very high and well-placed shot into the box of Jacob Vinette. That's sent into the air and then taken in and going down hard in his box. And it'll be ruled a foul, and so a free kick will be taken. That's just tapped on over and then up for Hodney. That's over to Funk. Funk looking for options. Taps that back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner to the middle to Keikos, who's sitting there wide open. Banks it off a defender. He's going around. He'll get back his own ball and send it over where Ahmed is right now. Back to Hussein, back to Keikos. Keikos sends in a left-footed shot that's taken in by the Elks defense instead. Here's Kraft moving up with it, pressured by Hussein. And just out of the reach for a winger on the Elks. And nothing will come out of that as Moorhead takes a throw in. And then it will change possession to the Elks, who will take a throw in. As here it is now right at just about exactly midfield. And that's sent in and then booted forward, intended for Borum, but knocked down by the Spuds defense. Sent over to the side for Ahmed of the Spuds. He'll settle that down, try to make a move around Uche, but he will send that out, and it just rolls off of his foot a little bit wrong, and there will be another Breakdown Sports corner kick for the Spuds. They'll look to repeat their earlier success, which resulted in the score where it is now, on again that a little bit of confusion from both teams that ended up being ruled in. As here's Hodney's left-footed shot sent in. Far side of the crease and sent into the net. But there will be a foul inside the box, and instead the Elks will get a free kick. As there was a whistle before the ball ended up finding the back of the net. And instead, there will be a kick taken by the Elks, sent up just past midfield, knocked down by Colborne, sent up, and then in tap by Ahmed before the Elks in turn send that up. As that bounces away from Borum, and instead there'll be Sarles trying to settle it down in combat with Colborne, who wins that, sends it over to Hodney. Hodney taps it forward before he's taken down along the side, and he'll take a free kick. And the ref didn't like how quick he went and didn't ruled he didn't have the right positioning. Moves him back about a yard and has him kick again. And that's sent up for Ahmed. Ahmed with a couple of moves around. Here's Keikos trying to do something. With three defenders on him, he'll hit it into Ahmed. Ahmed around one. Trying to send it into the box. There's a bounce right there. Sent up by Kraft. And out of bounds, just out of the reach of Bissick. And instead, Al-Shamani takes a throw in. That's sent in. Here's Ahmed. Ahmed back to Hussein. Over to Alawi. Alawi immediately tapping it up to Ahmed. And he's taken down, and there's a foul called on Elk River, as that was Jerome Uche making contact there with Abdirahman Ahmed. And Hodney will take a free kick from just outside the out-of-bounds mark inside their offensive zone. He'll send in a hook shot to the far side of the box, headed forward and taken in by Tentis as he makes a save, keeping his Elks from going down another points here in this match. Is that sent forward for Bissick? Bissick to the middle, knocked away by Hodney. And here's Kraft, back over to Bissick. Misses a kick there. And move forward for Ahmed to Keikos. Keikos over to the far side to Funk. Over to Colborn. To Hodney and then tapping it over to Gast. Gast to the middle to Colborn. Move it over to the side to Alawi. Alawi to the middle to Ahmed. Ahmed back to Colborn. And then back to Baumgartner. To the side to Hodney. Hodney to the middle for Hussein. Almost looking for a tap-back pass there, but he'll elect to send that back to defender Baumgartner instead, and then move it forward for Funk. Funk trying to do a couple of step moves around some defenders, but nothing comes out of that, so it'll be sent back to Baumgartner, who sends it in, knocked away by Lillestrand. Lillestrand with it now. Chip forward, and then taken away by Moorhead. And then sent out of bounds off of an Elk attacker's shins, and Moorhead takes a throw in, which will be sent in now to Colborn. Colborn over now to Hodney, and back to Gast. Gast over to the side to Alawi. Here he is now. To the middle, knocked off of that, and here's Ahmed. Ahmed back to Keikos. And ball contact there as both of them went for the ball, as you saw the ref ruling there on your screen. And there's Bissick moving it up forward and taken in by Borum. Borum has that bounce away from him. And now the Elks will take a throw in, as here's Zalea, newly subbed in, taking that. Also coming in for the Elks was number 18, Richard Clinton, going into the far side there. You saw him dart across. Again, your screen. And that's sent in for Borum. Colborn trying to get that away. Here's Lillestrand tapping it back, or rather keeping it himself in for the Elks, and a shot in, saved by Vanette on a Beckham Sarles shot. And now here is Funk. Funk sending it forward, but knocked down. And then the Elks get possession of that. Sent over to the side for Sarles into Lillestrand. Lillestrand intended back for Sarles, but just past him and taken in instead. And then a foul is ruled on the Spuds, and a free kick will be taken by the Elks. As that'll be Sarles taking that. As both teams prepare for their game plan. Sent in, and a save for Vanette. As you saw a direct shot there, something you might not often see, as especially from the Spuds, where they elect to send it cross box for one of their attackers. As I may be cut short here, is Hussein trying to make a break for it. Hussein to the middle. Here's Keikos. Keikos teeing up for a shot, lifts it up and over for Hussein. Hussein there with Kraft. Kraft will knock that to the middle, but it's taken in by Ahmed. And then sent out for Alawi. Alawi to the middle for Hodney. Hodney over to Ahmed. Ahmed trying to drive the side, and a beautiful slide tackle by Isaac Kraft, and knocks that away. And for now, stopping Moorhead's advances. And as I mentioned earlier before I switched to the game action, you saw Beckham Sarles' shot from a free kick there on Vanette. That was a laser in on Vanette instead of something you sometimes and usually see where it'll be sent in and hopefully teams will use the traffic in front of the net to their advantage instead of rather just a direct shot, which is how the Spuds have scored one of their goals tonight, with Keikos on Hodney's corner kick. As here's Aboa sending in a shot, saved by Tentis. Here's Stahlberger with a rebound. Said he'll tap that back. And Namook will jump over that, and Moorhead will take a throw-in. The battle for it along the side. Sent forward and then knocked down. Sent to the middle for Aboa. Oboa over to Funk. Funk settles that down, moves it over again for Aboa. Over to the side. That's Ibrahim. And there will be a foul ruled as Ibrahim's shoe actually came off from contact there with Elk defenders Lillestrand and Edmond. And so Funk will take a free kick from right about the 20. You can see they're on the football field. And he'll send that into the middle before that's knocked away and up for Edmond. And a weird bounce, and instead they'll be taken in by Somain. Somain moving around a defender. He'll send in a shot. And a beautiful shot sent into the top left corner. And the Spuds go ahead on your Northwest Blind scoreboard 4-1 in this quarterfinal matchup. Here with 19:26 remaining in the game. Again, it is 4-1 Moorhead now at the 19:26 mark remaining in the second half and in turn the game. As the Elks looking for something here, taking that kickoff before intercepted by Aboa. Aboa in a battle with Edmond, and Edmond will take that away, sent up for Borum. Borum in a battle in turn with Colborne. Colborne with a move around Borum, sends it up along the side for Keikos. And then knocked forward and up for Baumgartner, who is pressured hard by Borum. Borum keeps that in. And now it's moved forward by the Elks, who look to get some sustained pressure here. As now here's Palmer with it, sending it back, and then tapped forward by Wello, and then intercepted by Somani. Move forward in for the Elks. That's sent in on Vanette, and a shot by Wello will be saved by Vanette. As he rolls it over to the side for Baumgartner. And then knocked away by Clinton. Spuds trying to keep possession of it now and keep it away from the Elks. Move forward, and that's intercepted. Sent to the middle for Borum. Borum over to the side, and a shot sent in, knocked down by Colborne. As that was Edmond and Zalea pressuring hard, along with Borum. All three of those Elks getting in there before it bounced out of bounds. And speaking of Zalea, he heads one up there for his teammate Borum to battle that out. And here's Sarles trying to pressure Colborne, but instead moved over to Funk. Funk taps it forward for Ibrahim, and then that is knocked out from between his feet by Zalea. Here's Funk with it, taps it forward. And now Stolberger has a little bit of a break here. And he's taken down. And there will be a free kick for the Spuds from just outside the 18-yard box of Tentis. As the Spuds now decide on who will take it. As they decide that it will be Colborne that will take it. You can see Colborne being yelled instructions by head coach Ben Patry over there as he aligns his players just the way he wants to, as instead he'll send Colborne in for something you've seen before with Hodney's corner kicks. As gas comes up, and we'll more than likely be looking for Colborne either on the rebound or for a header. Is that sent into the far side, and reading that perfectly is Jacob Tentis, and he'll make that save. As they did try to hit that far side for Colborne and using his height for a header. As here's Ibrahim with it now. And that's stolen away from him by Borum. Borum moves it back for Wello. Wello up to Edmond. Edmond and Oboa with some contact there. Move forward for Somani. Taken away from him by Wello. Wello sending it up along the side. As there was Clinton fighting for it, but that's taken away, and here's Namook. Namook, high arcing pass, knocked down by Zalea. Sent up forward, there's Lillestrand tapping it over, and then out of bounds, intended for Tristan Borum of the Elks. As here's Funk, preparing to throw it in. As he tosses that in, and then it bounces off of Ibrahim, and there will be a throw-in for the Elks instead. That's tossed in for Lillestrand. Lillestrand around Funk. Pass back to the middle. Here's Sarles. Sarles trying to tap it over the side to Clinton, but instead he'll take that back in. And some Spud defenders with a couple of stops there, and Samani comes away with it for his mover to the side. And then sent back in and headed up by the Spuds. And there's Ibrahim with the final header on this series of events, knocking it out of bounds and giving Elk River a throw-in in their offensive zone with about 15 minutes remaining in the second half of play. That's thrown in. Wello taps that forward before it's sent up by Namook. There's a little bit of a fake there before it's knocked away from Aboa by Clinton. And now the Spuds take a throw-in as Al-Shamani subs in for the Spuds.
Number 2, Rizik Al-Shamani checking in for Moorhead.
And now the Spuds throw it in for Samani. Samani trying to battle against 3 defenders, but to no avail as Elk takes possession of that. And that's sent forward for Borum. Over to Lillestrand, trying to tap it back for Borum. But Gast beats him to that and sends it out of bounds. And so the Elks take a throw-in. As here's Zalea for the Elks that'll take the toss as he explores his options. Into the middle for Lillestrand, and then Zalea will send that in on Vanette, and he'll make a save. He's been seeing more action this second half than the first, as he makes about his 3rd or 4th save this half, as opposed to he had 1 shot, which ended up being a goal in that first half. As now that's tapped back for Colborne. Colborne sends that far side for Baumgartner. Or rather, Johnson, excuse me. Move forward for Oboa. Oboa back to Johnson. Johnson to Oboa. forward in front of Somani. Sent forward and then knocked down by the Elks. And over to the side, here's Clinton. Clinton trying to send that forward, but knocked away by Namook. And the Elks get a throw-in as Namook's knockdown ended up going out of bounds. And so it's thrown in and taken away by the Spuds. As here's Colborne sending it to the side to Johnson. Johnson back to his fellow defender, Gast. Gast with a hard pass sent up and taken in by the Spuds. Here's Ibrahim. Ibrahim back to Al-Shamani. Back up for Ibrahim. Ibrahim move around. Here's Somani. Over to the middle to Oboa. Oboa forward. Here's Namook. On the outside, pressured hard. He's inside the box now. And that's knocked out. And Oboa tries to settle that down. And a slide tackle, or almost slid on the turf, but it ended up working. And now it'll go out of bounds. And the Spuds will actually get a free kick as a result of a foul along the side on Mohamed Namook. As now a kick will be sent forward by Hodney into the nets, and Tentis will make that save. That's sent to the sky and headed down by Gast. Now here's Al-Shamani up to Ibrahim. Ibrahim keeping it in bounds after heavy pressure from both Lillestren and Borum. And now the Spuds maintain control as that's Gast hitting it back to Johnson, who sends it over to Al-Shamani. He'll send it up to Ibrahim. Ibrahim has that tapped away from him by Borum, and now a throw-in will take place for the Spuds. It ended up going off of Ibrahim's foot. And Zalea takes a throw-in. That goes over the head of Gleason, and now the Spuds take that in. Taken away by Sarles. Sarles up to Gleason. That bounces off of Somani. Fighting for it with Gleason. Gleason knocks that down outside the box. Sends in a middle shot. Knocked down. Here's Lillestrand. Lillestrand back to the middle. Knocks it in. Sarles will send the shot. And Vanette will actually play that one, as he would rather come out to the top of his box rather than stay in that smaller box. And here's Colborne with it. Colborne exploring options, sends it up. That's knocked down by Borum. With it now is Uche. Over to Borum. Borum to the middle, trying to tap it forward was Gleason. But Borum's beat to that one by Gast, and instead the Elks will take a throw-in from well inside their offensive zone, as Zalea comes forward from his spot to take that. And that'll be sent on in, just bouncing past Wello, and instead the Spuds take it and move it forward to Oboa. Oboa over to the side for Stahlberger, but a weird bounce off of his foot. And there was a call in the backfield. Not sure what the ruling was or who it was on. I do believe it was a foul called on the Elks. And so the Spuds will take a free kick, as that's Colborne electing to take that from just inside their offensive zone. He'll send that free kick in inside the box of Tentis before it's out eventually. And over to the side where Spuds try to drive in for Somani. Somani out to the side, and a shot sent over the crossbar by Namook. And the score still stands at 4-1 here with 8:18 remaining in the second half. As in comes number 8, Max Hodney, and number 9, Abdirahman Ahmed, checking in for the Spuds here in this game. And that was sent up and then knocked down by Gast. He'll send that over to Samani. Seems to that newly entered Ahmed. Here's Samani with it now. Samani taking a large loop. Over to Oboa. Oboa back to Hodney. Tapped over to Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani moves it forward for Stahlberger. Stahlberger taps it over to Ibrahim. Ibrahim with an attempted move there around a defender, but that's knocked away from him. And up along the side, and somehow that stays in bounds on a great play by Borum. But the Spuds take possession from them. And here's Oboa. Has that knocked away from him by Borum. And now the Spuds will take a throw-in along the near side. Or rather, the Elks will take a throw-in along the near side as that ended up going off of an attacker along the near side. As in comes number 14, Anders Olsen, for the Elks. And Lillestrand will send a left-footed shot out of bounds. And so Al-Shamani will take a throw-in, sends that over to Gast. Gast sends that well back, and Johnson watches that go to Vanette. Vanette pressured hard by Olsen, and Lillestrand was almost there, but a recovery by Gast, and the Spuds go on attack as they cross midfield. Intended for Stahlberger on a pass from Ibrahim, but taken in instead by Kraft, sending it up and then knocked back down. Here's Uche. And then Zalea taps it over to Uche. Uche trying to keep it in along the side, but eventually it'll just skip past him and out of bounds. That's in. Here's Zalea keeping it in. And then glancing off of Hodney and out of bounds. And we have two more substitutions for the Elks, as in comes number 5, Henry Babcock, and number 18, Evan Ressler. And a throw in here for Zalea. He'll toss that in, intended for Olsen, but then knocked out by the Spuds, and Zalea will just move on up the field and take another throw in. Here's Zalea throwing it in, immediately tap back to him. And a handball called on Ibrahim. And so Zalea and Wello will talk it over as to who's going to take the kick. It's actually, I'm not entirely sure who's going to take the kick, as that'll be trick play. And a curving shot sent over the crossbar of Vanette's net. And so he will be saved from facing another shot and another chance. And instead, he will just kick it out from his small box over to his defender, Gast, who in turn sends it up, where it's headed over by Uche. Settling it down is Kraft. Kraft trying to hit Wello in the middle there, but that just bounces past him. Here's Lillestrand with it. Over to Uche. Back up to Lillestrand. Lillestrand and Ibrahim in a fight with it. And now here's Samani that ends up taking possession of it. Samani with a couple of moves. He'll send that on over to Ahmed. Ahmed taps that back to the middle for Oboa. Oboa will send that back for a defender, but it will be whistled as there was an injury for the Elks as Lillestrand hops off the field. Didn't catch what happened. I do apologize. Guessing there was contact with a Spud player, either both of them going to kick the ball as he was not putting any pressure on one leg and just kind of skipping out of play. But nonetheless, the Spuds take possession here, and a hook pass is sent up for Ibrahim. That's moved on back to Gast. Gast sends that intended pass for Al-Shamani, but it'll just skip out of his reach, and here's Zalea with it. Zalea looking for somebody to throw that into, and eventually it's headed. They move forward in a fight for it with Hill. Hill trying to put pressure, and Zalea knocks that forward, and Zalea taking it in, and then it goes off of Al-Shamani's foot and out of bounds, and tossed over Al-Shamani's head by Zalea, and then Al-Shamani sends it out of bounds. With just under 2.5 minutes remaining here in the game, Zalea will take a throw-in for the Elks. He'll take a running start and launch one into the box. And on a 50-50 header, Gass will get to that one. And that's sent into the air, and another header by Al-Shamani. Bounces off a attacking forward. I believe that was an Elk in there that knocked it down, and now they're fighting for possession with Somani. Somani ends up with that. Moves it to the side. And then over to Ibrahim. Ibrahim back to Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani to the weak side. And there's Baumgartner calling off Johnson before he sends it back to him. There's Hodney tapping it back for Baumgartner. Moving it back to Johnson. Up to Hodney. Spuds just wasting time here now. But an off pass, and now Zalea's intended move forward will be canceled by the Spuds. And up goes Uche and knocks that out of bounds. Or rather, they will rule that went off of either Ibrahim or Stahlberger. And a throw-in will be taken by Zalea of the Elks. And he will just send that well up and out of bounds. And with 1 minute remaining here, Spuds will throw that in to Ibrahim, and that's knocked out by Zalea. Or rather, that glances off for Ibrahim, and Zalea will take a throw-in. Move forward, and a off pass, and it goes out of bounds. And so Al-Shamani will throw it into Ibrahim. So then they pass over the head of an Elk. And now stopping and going now, here's Olsen. Olsen with it again. Fighting for possession. There's Wello trying to get an off shot. He'll send in another shot. That'll glance out and to the corner of the net. And it'll go out of bounds. And so instead the Spuds will watch as time expires on tonight's game. And they take the victory 4-1 in this section quarterfinal game. And so the number 1 seeded Moorhead Spuds move on with a 4-1 victory against the Elk River Elks. We thank you tonight for tuning in to Spuds TV as, again, your Moorhead Spuds take down the Elks and move on in their section as we are down to playoffs now. Stay tuned tomorrow night for a football game as it is senior night for the Moorhead Spuds as they have a game right here on at Jim Goda Stadium and finish out their finish out their home season again tomorrow night. And for my crew here at Spuds TV, this is Carter Costoris wishing you all a good night.